What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. It's time for a recap of the Being Gary special that aired just last week on MTV. So just as a disclaimer, you guys, this entire special literally revolved around the fact that Gary's mother is, for lack of a better word, and I really hate to say it, but about someone, you know, that at this particular age, but his mom is basically like a giant HOE, okay? Like she's a thought pocket, and it really comes up a lot throughout this entire special. So remember, like when we first met Gary on 16 and Pregnant, then the first couple of seasons of Teen Mom OG, his mom was super involved in helping him raise Leah, and it seemed like she only kind of disappeared around the time that he got together with his now wife, Christina, and that really does come up quite a lot during the special. But anyway, things have changed, like I said, since Gary's new relationship with Christina, and he didn't need his mom as much anymore, and I guess a lot of fights started to happen between them that really start to come up during the special. So Gary starts off by saying that his mom seems to be dating his dad, Jody, and he's upset about it because for some reason, I don't even understand why he would be upset about this. He's upset because the mom refuses to call it what it is, dating. She instead refers to Jody as a roommate, and that upsets Gary a lot. And then Gary later reveals that the reason why his mom does not claim his dad as her boyfriend of the moment is because he does not dick her down enough. Like that's literally what her sole problem is with him. And until he puts out, she is not claiming his ass. And it is just so effing funny. And to make matters even more complicated, it turns out that Gary doesn't even know whether or not Jody is even his biological dad. And he also reveals that, guys, my mind is spinning at how like hoary this whole entire family tree is. He also reveals that Jody was married, I guess, while Gary was created, or like while he got married quickly after Gary was born. I don't know what it was, but it was just so weird. Like, you know, apparently this guy was never around because he was married, which led me to believe that Gary's mom was hoeing around with him behind his wife's back. We next up see Gary go to a farm where he hangs out with Jody and finds out that his hoe mom was seeing his cousin first and then almost instantly got pregnant by him. And then Jody said that he rarely came by because he didn't know where Gary and his mom lived, and also because he worked 2 jobs, neither of which are really, you know, reasonable excuses in my opinion. Like, you could have fought a lot harder than you did, and it's just a hot ass mess. Just admit that you didn't want to be there, and that's it. At the beginning of the episode, Gary said that his mom never really picks up his phone calls or talks to him, despite like living like 20 minutes out and living like really close, unless she needs something from him or she knows she's about to benefit from him. And like clockwork, he calls her up to invite her to a trip for Leah's birthday to Florida, and she of course says yes to an all expense paid trip to Florida. Duh. After Christina hears about this, she tells Gary that he needs to step back and see if his mom tries to reach out to him instead of him always reaching out to her, and brings up how their daughter Emily doesn't even really know her. Next up, his mom comes over and ignores Gary telling her that he's excited to see her, and she stops Jody from playing with Emily, complaining that he's gonna be hurting the baby or something like that. Gary then makes a sex joke about her and Jody, and she gets really snippy. I don't know what's up with her, but like her personality and mood swings are really weird and like odd. I almost thought she was on drugs for a second, but I don't really think that she's that type. The family then arrives in Florida, and Gary and Jody talk about how snippy his mom is, and Jody says that he considers her a girlfriend. And then they talk about his mom wanting to refer to him as a roommate instead, and he also admits that it's because she's not getting enough sex from him. And Gary asks if his mom is a nympho, and oh my god, I cannot. I'm like disturbed by how much he first of all knows about his mom's sex life, and second of all how interested he is in even knowing more. Like, dude, get some boundaries for yourself. Jody then says he wants to surprise Gary's mom with a proposal, and he actually does do it on the beach, and she literally yanks her hand away immediately when he gets down and asks her. She doesn't even let him finish his sentence, and she just continues like looking for seashells or whatever on the beach, and it was just so embarrassing. But he actually has a lot of balls because he gets up and goes to her again and then asks her again if she wants to marry him, and she's like, you know exactly why I'm not even claiming your ass right now. You are not fucking me enough. So what do you think I'm gonna marry your ass for? And then she's like, and what if, and he's like, oh, I'll change, blah, blah, blah. You know I will. And she's like, yeah, well, you're gonna start banging me tonight, and then you're gonna go back to not banging me anymore. And it was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm watching this on TV. And it's just so crazy that this woman's got a man proposing to her twice, and some of us can't even get a text back, y'all. What's going on out here? And she's like already like the neighborhood thought pocket. Like, what is going on in this world? And so she eventually reluctantly accepts his proposal. And then Gary, loves to like poke the bear and be like a bit of an antagonist. And he starts like congratulating them. He's like, oh, are you gonna get me another brother or sister soon, Mom? Congratulations. And she just keeps telling him to shut up. He actually ups the ante on how annoying he is by making an announcement on the boat about their engagement. And oh my God, like his mom could not be any more mortified by her shit disturber son. Later that evening, Gary and his half-brother, stepbrother or whatever go on a double date with his wife Christina, and they talk about the engagement proposal and all of that. And then they talk about how they don't really even get to see each other that much despite living really close together. And Christina's like, oh, it's because all our schedules are always so conflicting. And I'm like, bitch, neither you or your husband work. So what do you mean your schedules are conflicting? I'm pretty sure you're pretty damn available. They are just not that much of a priority to you. Just spit it out. I literally lost track of the show. I started zoning out, and I don't even know why, because this was deliciously trashy. But then I tuned back in at the point where Gary's brother reveals that their trifling ass mom introduced him to his dad when she ordered pizza, and he showed up delivering it. She literally opened up the door and was like, oh, by the way, this your daddy. Oh, like who knew that she and like was this trashy, and that this family literally is this trashy? Like Gary comes off like a really like stand-up guy, good dad. Like, he had his troubles at the beginning. I hated him for like the first like couple of years of Teen Mom. I thought that he was emotionally abusive and all of that. Like, and I still do think that he has some tendencies. But my God, who knew he came from this background? My God. Gary then returns back home and pulls his insufferable mom aside to say that she hasn't been around that much lately. And she claims it's because of work. And then he's like, listen, there's a pattern. Like, you only ever come around when there's something in it for you. Like, just look at us now. We're in Florida, and all of a sudden you've got the time. She, of course, denies it. And then he says that he also feels like she doesn't accept his wife, Christina, as her own. And then his mom says, you know what? The reason I don't even come around is because I am tired of your teasing and your jokes and like all this stuff you have to say about me and Jody. And she says that her emotional issues are because she's been going through menopause. And Gary's like, menopause for 10 years? She's like, I'm still going through it, and I'm going through depression as well. And he asks her about her relationship with Jody, of course, and then she yells at him saying that she doesn't know if she even loves him anymore because he does not bang her anymore. And she's like, it's so hard to be in love with someone who you don't feel like desires you. Like, how do you not get that? And at that point I was like, all right, girl, I see you. You're not just a hoe. You got feelings. She then throws out the fact that Gary once threatened her, not even just once, a couple of times has threatened her that she'll never see Leah again if she doesn't start coming over more, which is a little bit inappropriate on his part. Like I said earlier, you guys, he's always had these little like manipulative, borderline, emotionally abusive habits. And so I don't know why the hell, but Kiki, the producer, was number one, sitting on the floor through this, and number two, even interrupting like she was a freaking therapist. She ruined this amazingly heated conversation we were all witnessing. Gary then says that, listen, Mom, you're my only family, and he even admits that he doesn't have any friends anymore, and that's why like it really especially hurts him that his mom doesn't come around anymore. And guys, what is up with the Teen Mom people that they don't really have friends? Like, I don't get it. Like, what are people doing to you that you drop them like hot potatoes now that you're on television? There are a lot of like really like legitimately famous and successful people with lots of friends. Why do you guys, have a problem keeping friends, I wonder? Is it because they're too young and rich? I don't know. It's really interesting to me that none of them, except for like a select few, like a really, really select few, seems to have a lot of friends. Now, the trip is over, and on the ride back home, Christina says that she feels like things will just go back to the way they've always been. And Gary, is just so like optimistic. He's like, no, maybe not, because I did promise my mom that I would stop teasing her, about her relationship with Jody and different things like that. And that was like the number one reason that she stopped coming around. So I'm hoping that will fix things. And we'll start seeing her more, not only for me, but for my daughters. And the episode ends there. You guys, being Gary was quite an eye-opener. Like I said, I had no clue that this was the background that he came from. Like, no clue whatsoever. Like, looking at his mom come around a little bit on Teen Mom here and there, she always seemed like a nice, decent, respectable lady. But now, you know, I'm looking at her a little bit sideways, especially after the brother's story about like the pizza delivery man, her just like telling him like in that manner that that was his father. But then again, like also the Jody thing and how it seemed like she was with his cousin first and then he was married at the time and then they had Gary. Like, that woman is a hot ass mess. She's like an older Janelle, and it's just ugh. Anyway, as usual, I'm more excited to hear what you had to say about the episode, so please make sure to leave all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below and we'll chat. You can also like this video, subscribe for more, feel free to share it with your friends as well, and follow me across social media where I absolutely love chatting with you. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.